And we have the 9 above the horizon, 3 below. So interact, but it's functional in a social, functional interaction way. This is the areas of interrelationships and accomplishments out in the world. And so there's a need to do things out in the world. There's a tendency to respond to others or want to work as a team, work as a group, or work with others with the setting side and the daytime, the darkness increasing in the signs. When we go to the elements, 3 angular, 6 succeedent, 3 cadent. So here, where in the signs it was 5, 5, 4, they were all fairly even. Here, there's something of everything, but there's a determination when she decides she's going to anchor into something she wants, and she's going to be fixed as her sun in the 8th house, the moon in the 2nd house. So it puts an anchor on. She has a certain determination and fixity around how she deals with things. Intuition 2, think, that's the first quadrant. Second quadrant, the thinking quadrant, 12th, 11th, 10th house. Thinking 2, sensation, 7 points. This is the functional reaction, the sensation, sensibility, being sensitive to others, being able to respond to others practically, being able to interact and being able to share and put things together. Like 2 rents are better. 1 rent shared by 2 people is better than 1 person paying 2 people paying 2 separate rents. The feeling point is this, the feeling quadrant, taking things personally is not the strong suit. The 6th, 5th, 4th house, she doesn't take things in that well, but she's responding. So I'm just going to go back for a second. So here you see only the Saturn down in the respondent chart. So she's capable of doing what's so reacting to other people a lot, doing business, making changes, but when it comes to taking it personally and settling in, there's a Saturn's there, there's a discontent, isn't ever good enough. There's some problems come up that she gets affected by. And once the problems come, she wants to get away from the problems. It's an Aries. Okay, so you expect a strong business person. She's a good business person, a successful person. And the challenges are more at the home and on the personal side. And in this personal responding, the ability to personally respond is not the strong suit. The ability to interact socially, no problem. Strong team player. Okay, so I'm just going to come back here. So that was just looking at the intuition, thinking, sensation, feeling quadrants. Then we go to the elements of the elements in the houses, the self, the relations, the concerns, the rewards. Or self, fire, 3 points. Relations, air, 2 points. Concerns, earth, 3 points. Rewards, water, 4 points. So water here is the strongest, just a little. And the same with the signs. Water was the strongest. So on both sides, there's an emotional, judgmental quality that's within this. Okay, so these are just points you go through. You try to weave them together. This is a transit chart. Okay, 1 second. So yeah, so we just really wanted to weave them together. We still have a little bit more to go here. So normally I did the talk about the planets the first time, but just to review it, the Sun in the 8th house with Jupiter in the houses. In Cancer, it's in Cancer, Jupiter, Leo. I want to be successful. I want to make money. I want to do this. She is fairly well established. She is a businesswoman, and I met her through the astrology, and she did translations for me. So she was very capable, very lucid, and very able to speak very clearly and do good translations from Mandarin to English. So she was super functional. I wish I had that capacity, but she had the Sun square Mars, so she's pushing to prove things. What I got to do next? What I have to do? What I have to prove? What I have to make happen? So this is the area of business and trust, of sharing, of responding to others and sharing. Okay, and the moon down in the 2nd house is in the personal resources, and that tends to mean money is fluctuating, but she's serious about it. So she's going to think, I got to work at this. I got to try and do this. But it's ruled by the Saturn down in the 4th house, so she's running what she does, what happens, what doesn't. There's going to be a stop-start effect of her Saturn. So she's capable of a lot of things. But the translating can be steady sometimes, but can be a fluctuating job. And I can't remember all the other things, but just that this is how I know her, but the ability to be efficient, do things, but having the fluctuating resources, and then if you have to do something, have to work at that, making commitments to try and get it. That's that moon. I have to live this. I need some security. I need to get and try to anchor it, and then trying to stabilize the fluctuations of the moon. Which that moon gets exaggerated. Those fluctuations get exaggerated by the opposition to Jupiter and the square from Neptune. So there's the capacity for dependencies or sorrows or guilts. And probably when she was born, the mom had a rough time. It was feeling kind of isolated and not being supported, and the baby caused the complications. And it was a girl. Like all these things, these issues are there with the moon Neptune. But the puzzle is really personal resources and friendships. And how many friends can you afford? Who do you know? What do you, this is somewhat a puzzle here. Okay. Okay, sun, the moon. The Mars, which squares the sun, is up in the 10th house. It's strong. It's in Scorpio. The 10th house is ruled by Venus, but the Mars is up strong, and the square to the sun, it can be a pushy or feisty side, but it's not a bad place. It's a good place for Mars to be. And then her Venus, Pluto, and Uranus are all in the 9th house. So there's the radical understanding about being able to change countries or adjust language or look at things from different ways. Her Venus in there, liking the travel, liking this understanding. You can sort of see the love of astrology in that, and the understanding of astrology within that. No afflictions except, and there's no afflictions because Uranus, Pluto conjunct, but they're just out of orb of making a conjunction. They're not in conjunction to Venus. They're in the same sign, in the same house. They'll have an effect there, but Venus might be a presence for Venus to deal with, but it's not really afflicting harshly Venus. So around like money, appreciation is not the strong issue. Security is her issue. 4th house, moon in Aquarius, 2nd house, squared by Neptune. That's the one half of her seesaw, the security half versus the functional, capable half. What do I do? She's good at making people, reacting to people, and getting business, knowing what to do for business. The thing about astrologer, she has the sun in the 8th house. She's been studying astrology. We think the sun in the 8th house with Jupiter, that's great for understanding psychology, understanding the depths and interactions between people. She has a Mercury in the 7th house in Cancer, being able to communicate. It's a little reserved, but still, so is astrology. It's cautious, it's a plan, and the ability to consult or advise people is really good. Personal element to that. Okay. Yeah, so you go through the points and you come back, you go back and around, just try and get anchored around the angles. She projects the ascendant, she projects her understanding, her 2 languages, her multiculturalism, she projects her outlook. She attracts much more independent people who are doing their own thing more. She responds to other people in an independent way. It's in it. Gemini is there. That's her manner of taking things in rationally, intellectually. She responds to people. Okay, so trying to figure what's happening, who's doing what, why, what's happening. That's the Gemini side. We talked about in Aries, the one motivated to do things, to make things happen, to prove. It's Saturn's conjuncted. So she's always feeling restricted. I can't do what I want. This is holding me back. What do I got to do to fix this? How do I put up with this? So there is this reserve around this thing, and growing up, she would have had difficulty proving things to mom and dad. Okay. You got to remember, China was one child family, so everybody wants the boy, she's the girl. Still, she would prove she could go do it. She could go do whatever. She has that Aries impulse, but there's a stop-start. The Saturn's there. There's an insecurity there, or a worry there. So these worries from the moon in Aquarius in the 2nd house about money and about security, 4th house, they're the half of the seesaw. The other half is the functional side. I'm going to take care of this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do all these things. I'm going to get this. So this is her balance between the two. The midheavens up in Libra, ruled by Venus, and it opposes the Saturn from home. So there's always the need to work for the security, but it's not as it's got the opposition to Saturn. So trying to find something you want to do rather than something you have to do. Something you like rather than something that's just hard work. That's part of the puzzle here. But imagine being consulting, doing the astrology, talking to people, being light for ideas, giving advice about things. That really suits that Libra midheaven, the Mercury in the 7th house, the Gemini in the descendant, 8th house, Sun and Jupiter. It really suits your chart to interact and be able to talk to people and see how to advise people. Okay, the complication will come, where does she live? Where's the family? Is there kids? What, like that. Many multicultural people, many people have, when Neptune are in multicultural or extended family scenarios where it's not just simple kids from the same block or anything. There's often complications in there. Okay, so I just wanted to back up a little bit on this. We'll just go forward here. So we got a running sense. Okay, I'm sorry, backing up again for a second. The Saturn starts on our IC. So when you start looking at the Saturn, the transit's going on, Saturn's going to build up at 15. Saturn's going to be up on the midheaven. As a teenager, I got to do this. Then at 20, around 20, it's going to be hitting the ascendant, and it's going to go down below the horizon. At 29, she's got the Saturn return down low, so you can see her Saturn cycle is going to be her 15-year cycles above and below. It follows that aligns with her houses, or at least with her midheaven, very clearly. So when you're looking at a chart, you can almost eyeball and estimate what Saturn's doing around it, even if you don't have the ephemeris that you can see Saturn get into Cancer at 7, so by 8 or 9 it's going to hit the Sun, defining her goals. By 15 it'll hit the midheaven. Then about 6 years later, maybe 21, it hits the ascendant, just when things are caving in, nothing's working here, it's not working, goes below the horizon for a long time, 10 years, and that's or 9 years. And in that period, probably she's studying, or but her old world caved in, so this is probably the incentive to come to another country and to change things, and then getting secured, building things up to accomplish things comes around. So, and Saturn now's at Aquarius, the second time around, down below the horizon, coming to here. So we see that. So I just want to talk about it because you can see these things to a certain degree in the chart, and when you're getting the time, you're just having them anchored in. And the same way when you see with her chart, you can see from the natal chart from her Sun, her progressed Sun is going to go up to the midheaven across her lifetime and into the 10th house. She's driven to accomplish something, improve something, to be in control of things. It's not about being at home, it's about doing business and accomplishing things. So you can see that very quickly. Okay. Even the new moons and full moon, she's born just on the full moon phase. So 14 years later, new moon, 15 years later, you get the full moon, and then you can start seeing how those move along. Her new moons and full moons will be in Leo, Virgo, Libra. Progressed ones. Okay, so when we look at the transit chart, this is a transit chart. I don't like this chart because it does all the aspects of each planet to each planet transit to natal, and that's what the whole mess of all the aspects of. That's too much to deal with. That's a whole lot of things. But what the chart, and there's other charts we can do. I just did this one to show you this, but you can still with this chart see the planets and the transiting planets around, and see what houses they are. So really, we don't really work that much with the Mercury, Venus, Sun. Sometimes we bring in the Mars, but there's the Jupiter. No, 1 second, it's coming along. There's the Jupiter in Sag, just coming up to the ascendant. There's the Saturn down in Aquarius, going below the horizon. There's a Pluto, Neptune, Venus over here, and Taurus in the 5th house. And everything, almost all the planets are below the horizon. The challenges are all below the horizon more now than above. So you can look at the chart and know things, but I don't like just doing a chart and comparing one planet here, this is here, this is there. I like to see the timings. I like to see the music flowing around. And it came here, it's flowing through here, it's going through there. Where are you in the scheme of things now?